Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Norway. Mike Dixon alongside myself, David Goldstrom, for what we both think is just about the best classic sprint course in the world. We're in Drammen, some 40 kilometers to the west of Oslo, and Drammen, the former capital of Norway, but now very much known for this classic sprint, which this year comes a little earlier in the day because of the crowded program and indeed the biathlon competitions which are over in Canada, which get underway in 24 hours from now. Some 15,000 packed around this fantastic course, which just about has everything: climbs, descents, twists and turns, and it really is the ultimate test. And it's the 12th time that the classic sprint in the World Cup has been staged here in Drammen. Well, earlier in the season, the sprint started in Finland, and here's Mike Dixon with his memories of the early classic sprints.
Seems so long ago now, David, and this was the unknown early season, the unknown form, and once again it was the majority of the final, the red suits of Norway. Fosley put in an incredible attack halfway around the final time up this huge climb, and he just managed to keep a hold of his lead to the line, chased by his fellow teammates who just got their strategies a little wrong. And a wonderful victory there for Fosley. Just collapsing across the line. That hill really takes it out of you. On the women's side, it was quite a different story initially, with Sweden in there. A couple of Swedes with Ingmar's daughter, Stina Nilsson. Stina Nilsson went early. She tried to break the group on the final time up this hill, and only one could stick with her and pass her. And of course, here she is, Falla. Incredible turn of pace towards the end, just to keep Nilsson at bay, and showed her form once again, the world champion from last season. And then during the Tour de Ski, the sprint races down in Oberstdorf, quite different conditions, though not unsimilar in terms of tactics, from Usberg deciding to lead everything in the heats, but she thinks, and I think it was the wrong strategy, so much early on, allowing the door to open for the incredible Sophie Caldwell. Heidi Weng taking advantage there as well, just to slip into second place. On the men's side, well, Northug in there again, in the classic style, as he so often is. Ustigov, Polterainen in there. Ustigov just getting his strategy a little wrong. But it's once again about the Norwegians, but this time leaving it very late. Ibbotson, only fourth position over the final bridge with 120 to go, but an incredible turn of pace for the final 200 meters to take his first victory, and showing the strength of yet another Norwegian, with Ustigov second and Polterainen third.
Well, it's quite an extraordinary season in terms of classic racing. It's very much biased towards freestyle races. And as Mike just explained, to date, only 2 classic races before today in Drammen. However, the most recent race was in Planica in the sprint division, a new stop on the World Cup Tour for sprints, and it saw success once again for both Sweden and Italy. Stina Nilsson was the queen of Planica, attacking in the last climb and really producing a dynamite finish. Stina still leading the under-23 rankings, tall, strong, and here you can see applying the power to really dominate and go away from a posse of Norwegians and lead them a merry dance all the way to the line. They tried, but she was just too tough, too strong. The silver medalist from last year's World Championships in Falun, and very much the rising star of Swedish women's cross-country skiing. As for Pellegrino, well, it was more of the same. Pellegrino with that extra gear, looking in Planica for his 4th win of the season, and waiting and then setting out, having conserved his energy brilliantly in the quarterfinals and the finals, to just move away in what is now a very familiar style and becoming the most successful Italian cross-country skier in terms of World Cup victories of all time, ahead of Pila Cotra and many others, including the great Christian Zorzi, who was the former star of Italian sprinting. And Pellegrino and Stina Nielsen, well, they're here with us in Drammen. They've qualified, and we're now looking forward to the first of the women's quarterfinals. Before we do, though, let's remind you of the state of play. In the sprint division, in the men's sprint division, it's Pellegrino, 400 points, 4 victories, you can see there. He's actually 196 points ahead of Fosley, who I have to tell you just missed out on qualification today, the number 2 in the rankings. Baptiste Crow of France, who's really tough, big, strong guy. And then Crow, who won the sprint titles last season, and Ustigov, who was the fastest, or one of the fastest today. In the women's division, Stina Nielsen with a 58-point lead over Ersberg there, and in second place she's qualified. Falla, the Olympic champion, who's 94 off, so very competitive. Heidi Weng in 4th place, and Sophie Caldwell, all of them involved in this afternoon's race. So, as I said, Mike Dixon alongside myself, David Goldstrom. This is a race we always look forward to, Mike.
David, it's an absolute beauty, and I love the setting. Normally always the blue sky. Temperature's been very warm in this area recently, 5 degrees here. It was at -1 for the snow, and a lot of work in the preparation. New course this season, David, of course, as usual, starting just 4 meters above sea level. And look at this climb, all the way up to just over 30 meters in the first 350 meters of track distance. Come all the way back down past the start, and then look at this finish. It's climbing most of the way back up to the high point, just finishing almost at the door of the church.
Well, the women's division was won by Ersberg, as you can see there in the qualification. 1 or 2 didn't make it. Projaskova of Slovakia. Denise Herrmann of Germany, really disappointing. She was only 38th in the ranking. Only the top 30 go through. Also missing Vesna Fabian for Slovenia. Real disappointment that they're not in the competition. And there are your 30. But you can see quite a big spread of time there, almost 12 seconds. David,
you said exactly that, nearly 12 seconds, but incredibly, Usberg leading by over 3 seconds to the next.
And Mike, the story of the men.
Yeah, Bransdal, he loves this course. He's there just 1 second behind the great early run there from Bansinski. And a much different story in the men's race. You needed to be within just over 6 seconds to make the top 30, half the time as it took for the top 30 in the women's field. 6.04 to make it.
And the big surprise that Sondre Fosley of Norway, and this is a place where Norway generally controls life. And earlier today here you can see the women picking out their draw positions here. It's a random draw, so it's a bit tactical.
It is, and of course the big names get the options early on, and it's without a doubt proven through history that if you go in the earlier groups, when you get into the final, you buy yourself more recovery time. So if you win the race, you can make your early decisions. Those who are in the top 5, top 10 get the best choice of group, or at least the choice that they want to make.
And the men's division, you can see Ustigov there in the first heats, and Northug, Petter Northug, with the youngest of his brothers in the race as well. We'll talk about that when we get to the men's quarterfinals. But here we have the lineup for the first quarterfinal. Stina Nielsen, no less, to go, and Ersberg, the number 1 and the number 2 in the sprint rankings, involved in this first quarterfinal. The clock strikes 2:30, and the first of the women's quarterfinals here in Drammen. Mike Dixon, together with myself, David Goldstrom, the first of 5 quarterfinals. First 2 by right across the line, and then we're looking for a couple of lucky losers. There you can see Stina Nielsen, the leader of the overall Sprint World Cup rankings at the moment. Ersberg, who was the fastest in qualifying, and they meet in the first quarterfinal, and away we go. Uphill climb to get us underway.
So it's arm power, David, to begin with, and maybe, just maybe, some of the athletes will have decided to go without wax, therefore using the arm power all the way.
Changes to the course this year.
And for that purpose, they're trying to eliminate this double poling from sprint racing and distance racing, so therefore making the tracks a little harder. I'm not sure it's working. That's 30 seconds gone, and it's only arm power from all 6 in this heat.
Very interesting as they go up, and they now approach the big sweep round the church. And last year, a lot of the athletes were having to herringbone. It was quite steep. This year, they've modified it, so they should be able to go stride and glide all the way around it.
Well, exactly that. So without a doubt, in the women's field, we've seen it many times. They will have the wax on the base. The men's race, some will opt possibly for just the double poling action, but it will take a brave person to manage all 4 times in double poling. She's showing it again, David Ersberg, breaking the field by 3:20, 3 seconds, 3.2 in the qualifying, and she's breaking them again. It didn't work. I'm just thinking, David, it didn't work for an Oberstdorf when she did this each time out. She was tired for the final, and that's when Caldwell and Stina Nielsen came through.
Norway, who have won no less than 6 of the previous 11 classic sprints here in the women's division. And as you say, Ersberg brave out front. Much more confident these days, having matured. She manages her energy better, but look at this, she's leading Stina Nielsen, a merry old dance, 41k.
That's good speed. She worked so hard over the crest of the high hill. I think Stina Nielsen, David, just sensible, conserving energy. As long as she's in the top 2, she's guaranteed a place through to the next round, or the semi-final.
And she's very powerful on the final phase. Remember the finish here, when she goes to that, you've got an uphill finish as well, and that's where I think she'll use her power. Also in this, Nusiainen of Finland, Mari Eid for Norway, and Daria Vedanina for Russia. But it's all about Ersberg and Stina Nielsen, as we would expect. And now the power goes on. 6 over the far side there. That's Nusiainen. I mean 5 in 3rd place, looking for a lucky loser spot. But Ersberg, she's doing far more than she actually needs to, but she's found the rhythm, Mike, and she's remorseless.
Obviously in great shape, David, but I do worry a little. She did this in Oberstdorf, as I said, and now why put all your energy out too soon?
And there you've got Mona Lisa, who was a really good sprinter, married now to Nusiainen, also cross-country skier, her husband. Oh, and that is close.
I think Nielsen left that. Well, not left it. She was attacked there in the final 10 meters by Nusiainen, and maybe left it a little late to push on to the line.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a surprise for me. 2:56.28. And the fastest qualifying time was Ersberg, 2:52.80. But Ersberg in the end comfortably, and didn't expect this scrap here. Now Nusiainen will be on the far side here. Ooh. Nielsen just, I think.
Good job, her legs are just that little bit longer.
300ths. That's the decision, and they go through. Ersberg and Nielsen by right, but Nusiainen, as you can see, they're only a whisker behind. Maria Eid of Norway, I think that's going to be too far back at the end of the day. But the 2:56.06 is the winning time for that quarter.
I'm just thinking, David, with the 2 big names there, Ersberg and Stina Nielsen leading the sprints, maybe, just maybe, this will be the fastest of the qualifiers. So Nusiainen possibly will make it through. Beautiful technique and ease to the finish there for Ersberg.
Yeah, all the more credit. She was only 6th recently in the national sprints, won by Anne Kalonen, who's not with us today. Parmakoski was in 2nd place. And Parmakoski comes up as the fastest skier in this next quarter-final. 24 here. This is Linn Sumskar for Sweden. And then 7. That is Jess Dickens, the effervescent Jess Dickens.
That's confidence.
4 here, Nika Razinga for Slovenia. Not to be ruled out here. She's a rising star. Krista Parmakoski, runner-up to Anne Kolonen just in the last week or so in the national sprints. And 6 here, Natalia Matvieva. Good racer, but I always think vulnerable in a classic sprint, representing Russia.
What's amazing, David, in the earlier qualifying, Parmakoski was 2.88 seconds ahead of 3rd place with the 2nd fastest qualifying time. So clearly a lady on form, and incredibly, of course, Usberg was 3:20 ahead of Parmakoski. We'll see a similar trend here. It's double pole power as far as you can. It is faster than it is using your legs. It just allows you to drop through the poles, keep the momentum going, and carrying it as far up into the 30-meter rise from start line to the high point of the course, carrying it as far as you possibly can.
So Parmakoski on the far side, and closest to you, and now on your left there, that is Matvieva. Good start by her, and that's encouraging. Then you got the Slovenian in the yellow and blue, and then the tall figure there of Linn Sumskar wearing 24 for Sweden, and Scardoni in this also for Italy.
Jess Dickens surprising me at the moment, David. She's trying but not able. Normally she doesn't let go if she's on form. Or is she just being tactical, just waiting till the steepest of climb? I think she's slipping a wax, not working very well.
Yeah, but she's tough, and well,
big slip.
Yeah, well spotted, Mike. But she'll not give up. I mean, she'll try very hard, but it doesn't help her with the uphill climb to the finish.
It takes all the tension. You're tense through your body when that happens. It uses a lot more energy to try and carry your weight up these climbs.
And Parmakoski slipping away from the field, the 25-year-old from Lualati. And this is a really good start by her and Matvieva. I'm quite surprised to see how spread out this second quarter-final is.
Well, again, is that early indication of form on the qualifying. Parmakoski is, as we said, 2.88 ahead of the 3rd fastest in the qualifying, and she's carrying that with her now.
She was 11th in Ruka, the first classic, and 9th in the second classic in Oberstdorf, part of the Tour de Ski. But Jess Dickens having real problems here. This is unusual for the American servicemen. They've been really, really good. And you can see Jess is a real talent. First World Cup win this season, and trying to stick as hard as she can to the front two. Parmakoski leading Matvieva, then Jess Dickens of the United States, then Ratzinger for Slovenia. Left of the picture, the tall Sumskar. At the back there, Scardoni for Italy. And now Matvieva. Real improvement here by Matvieva. It's a long time since I've seen that double poling power.
Yeah, much changed form there, David. She's showing a lot of spark, a lot of fight, Matvieva, and it looks like she will go through.
And Matvieva on the right of your picture, Parmakoski on the left. Parmakoski gets it in 2:58.8, and that is slower than the first quarter-final. Jess Dickens almost 2 seconds behind, and that does not bode well for her and Ratzinger, who finished in 4th place.
It doesn't when you're 2 seconds off that, and I do think that first heat we saw will remain the fastest, with Usberg setting all the pace. Parmakoski definitely, sensibly, I think, backed off there with a couple of 100 meters to go.
So I'm impressed by Matvieva there. That shows to me, or suggests to me, Mike, that she's been doing some really good work in training on the Classic.
I agree. We haven't seen that attack at the tempo. You can actually see it in limb speed. When you're on form, your limbs, you can move them faster, and without a doubt, that's the best spark form we've seen of Matvieva all season.
I can think back to Dusseldorf. You remember that show sprint that was developed right by the side of the Rhine in Dusseldorf? And that's a one and only World Cup victory in a freestyle race. And what's that? Well, that's well over, what, 12 years ago, 13 years ago?
It is. It's way. It's or I was thinking 2006 when you first mentioned it. I can't remember.
Third quarter-final, and well, the top two performers in this are Caldwell and Ringwald of the United States and Germany. And just to go through, Katrin Harsum of Norway, the quickest of the six. Dotsenko, one of the slowest. But Drammen seems to bring out something special in all of these races. 8th best sprinter of the season so far, Sandra Ringwald. Sophie Caldwell, who wears 11, is the best of the lot. And then Lampic there for Slovenia. Very interesting now. Lampic, like Ratzinger in the previous quarterfinal, underlining the new generation of Slovenian sprinting women in cross country. But there's the woman who is quickest on paper from the qualification. Harsem getting a big cheer from this Norwegian crowd.
Well, steely determination there from Caldwell as she had a good look up this start, a couple of 300 meters up to the high point. And she will be remembering the fantastic day she had in Oberstdorf to take her first sprint victory, and it was in the classic style.
This is such a well-prepared race. If you go back to early December, just outside Drammen, there's the biggest hole you could ever imagine, and they start collecting the snow and making the snow for this race very early on. And when it comes down to this week of preparation, they turn off all the understreet heating that they have in Drammen, and they sweep it absolutely clean, so that the first membrane they put down before the snow, which is 30 to 50 centimeters deep, it really is an absolutely rock-solid course.
It's brilliant, and on the FIS website you can actually have a 4-minute view of how they got the snow on. It's a huge operation, taking all day to bring this snow onto the tracks. They've done a great job.
Harsum is galloping up there in the lead at the moment, but this is looking a whole lot more competitive.
It is, and the risk is you don't want too much wax on the base of your ski, because now in this section, after 1 minute 20 work, you really need a good glide factor, and often the wax slows that glide factor down, so they've gone light on the wax.
Harsum, who was top 10 last year, actually finished in 8th place, being zoomed there by Sophie Caldwell for the United States, another World Cup winner for the first time this season for the United States. I'm really impressed with the women's division of the United States cross-country team.
And look at that, you mentioned this, the wax technicians getting it right, even though the rest are slightly slipstreaming. At the moment, Sophie Caldwell looking very, very positive.
Yeah, Sophie Caldwell, 25 years of age, so right into the height of her powers. On the outside there, not the best line, I have to say, and relinquishing the lead, well, almost back to Harsem. But they're right in a bunch here, and also in there for Germany, Sandra Ringwald, wearing 17. She's just behind the front too, and Lampic on the far side in the yellow and blue, but it's Sophie Caldwell down this little dip there, taking the speed on. And this is fantastic arm power. Mike, you know how hard or how much burn there is in the arms at the moment.
Huge amount, 2 minutes 40, lactic acid gushing through the body, but Caldwell trying to keep the pace. She seems to pick it up when she goes into using the legs. She's trying to hold off the contenders.
Ringwald just behind. This is very, very close, and this is not the greatest of angles to see who's going to get there first. Harsum leading the charge up here. Harsum probably, and Lampic. That's an excellent run from the Slovenian, confirmed in second place, but you can see how much more tactical it was. 3:01.8.
Well, what a find. Lampic, the 20-year-old, and inspired by the great racing days of Petra Madic. And didn't she do well? Just well. She's through, but in second place, so she has qualified. And Sophie Caldwell, I thought she had everything right, but she seemed to just lose her way there in the last 15-20 meters.
Yeah, Lampitz, who's been graduating through the Junior World Championships. She's been involved in the last 5 editions for Slovenia, and just 20 years of age, and outside the top 30, Mike, if you remember, in Falun last year. So there's progress already.
Oh, and confidence. This will even add to that confidence. It was a strange race. They were all within half a second, David, with just 200 meters to go. Without a doubt, the closest heat we've had so far. And I don't know what happened there to Caldwell. It looked like she had it in her hand, but she let it go.
And Norway not having it all their own way, although, of course, Ersberg is through and so is Harsem. But there you can see, again, outside 3 minutes, so I'm afraid Dotsenko and Caldwell not really in with a shout. And by my unofficial guide, it'll be from the first of the quarterfinals, the lucky losers at the moment. And that would be Nusiainen, well, definitely Nusiainen anyway. So on we go, quarterfinal number 4. And the fast person, or the fastest racer, I should say, is the tall and imposing Ida Ingsmarsdottir, and the Olympic champion, of course, Micah Kaspersen-Faller. And Faller bidding for 3 consecutive victories here. She's won the last 2 here. Sadie Burnson for the United States, and wearing 3. Here is Ida, and Ida's well to the fore in the sprint rankings. She's in 7th place, and Astrid Jakobsen enjoying one of her better seasons. Disappointment during the Tour de Ski when she had to pull out, but since then her performances have been good.
They've been outstanding performances. What about, well, Faller, we saw there, she qualified last year in 29th. This year, she's qualified 15th and went on to win it. And it doesn't always, it shows form, the qualifying to make it through into these finals, but it doesn't actually pave the way to what is going to happen next. Technique violation if you skate too far around a corner. The jury are watching. You will be awarded a yellow card. If you do it again, you're out.
Yeah, that means she isn't disqualified at the moment, because remember, she was the winner of the previous quarter-final. But here you can see this tremendous power that's going on. Astrid Jakobsen on the near side to you, now on the right of your picture. And they really are spread across the tracks here. And in this quarter-final, looking also to see whether Shapovalova can do anything. And she wears bib number 28, and she's not quite at the back, but she's been a disappointment to me over the years.
She has. She threatened it in her early days. I thought she was going to be a huge potential.
But as it is Ida Ingsmarsdottir, who is right up there and slipping badly. Who was that? Just on the...
That was Jakobsen, I think.
No, was it Jakobsen? No, I was just looking on the inside, actually.
Oh, that's Bjornsson.
Yeah.
Sadie Bjornsson, the American.
Yeah.
So, 1 minute 26 to the top. That's a good pace that Faller is burning up. You just feel good, David, or I certainly do, about Ingsmarsdottir. She's always strong in the sprints. A very wise, older head on her. She knows where to place herself and when to attack.
Yeah, Ida was 5th in Ruka and 4th in Oberstdorf. 2 very good placings in a sprint. And look at those Swedish skis actually running really well. The servicemen will be pleased with that.
And the Russian skis, on the other hand, they've got good grip on the up, but look at the glide on the down, not as good.
And there you can see, in fact, the 2 lucky losers at the moment still from quarter-final number 1.
This is where you can't skate too far around the bend, or you will be penalised or yellow carded.
So Kaspersen-Faller wearing 15 on the right of your picture there, and to our left there it's Jakobsen. It's Norway 1, Norway 2. The Swedes really striving to try and get into this, but the Norwegians know their way home from here. And there's a tremendous atmosphere, real noise, and you can see here the Norwegians are burning off everybody. They've got Ingsmarsdottir still there, but now you can see the The power is going on. Fowler is charging towards the line. Astrid Jakobsen coming under pressure from the Swedish racer on the right of the screen. Up this little deceptive lift towards the line. Who gets there? Fowler and Ingsmar Stotter in second place. Jakobsen 2:59.8, and again that's slower. But I have a feeling that that Jakobsen might just make this, you know.
It's looking pretty good. She faded. I thought she was doing everything right. Jakobsen in third. Fowler, of course, did everything right to just safely get across there. She slowed down a little at the end. And Ingmar's daughter it was. She's so easy with her energy in the qualifying and then in the first of the heats.
So, well, that would make 2:59. I think Jakobsen's going to make it through as a lucky loser at the moment.
So the finish, Fowler, the gritty determination from Fowler. That's over the final rise, now up to the end. Fowler, for me, wants yet another victory here in Drammen. Just looks so good.
It's worth noting that she hasn't competed in the last two sprints because she didn't finish the Tour de Ski, so she wasn't involved in Oberstdorf. She was not either involved in Planica also. So Fowler in third place. So far in the 4 races she's run, she's thrice been a winner and once a runner-up. So when she's good, she's very good. And straight on to the final of our quarterfinals, so to speak. Jenny Oberg there for Sweden, Greta Long for Italy, and the standout athlete is right on the left. You'll come to her in a moment. This is Kovaleva for Russia. Hannah Kolb here as well. 18, there is Hannah Kolb for Germany. Should play a part in this. And then 2 Norwegians, Heidi Weng, who currently lies 4th in the season-long sprint rankings and has been 2nd and 3rd in the last 2 sprints, and lies in the overall World Cup in the top 5 with the Norwegians, who are really dominating the women's overall World Cup. Keitnes is the other Norwegian skier, just 2 away from you.
David, this is not the favoured group. It's Group 5, much less recovery time when it comes from semi-final to final. And bib numbers 12 to 27, as you can see in this group. Huge attack there early from Heidi Weng. She wants the space. She wants to create her own space at the front. Oh, nearly falling there and eventually staying on her feet, 25.
Yeah, that's Greta Laurent for Italy.
That's cost her a qualifying position.
Well, it's early in the race, but it's going to take an awful lot of energy to get her back, and the others are not going to relent. I don't think this is going to be overly tactical. And you can see there on the far side there, 13, and the real high tempo of Heidi Weng. Not as high tempo as Teresa Johaug, but nonetheless pretty high. And she's been a superstar, hasn't she? Because she's also broken her duck, so to speak, and won her first ever World Cup race in the current campaign.
Öberg, it's nice to see, well, not a new name, but the Swedish Jenny Öberg, having come 3rd in the national sprint championships, but being left a little behind here at the top of the hill. This is fast, David. 1:17 over the top.
Yeah, so it's Keitnes leading at the moment from Heidi Weng, and those two have got a good couple of meters ahead of the rest. In the overall Women's World Cup, Teresa Johaug, who's not involved today, ahead of Østberg, who's 210 points behind her in the overall, and Heidi Weng, who's 3rd, and Charlotte Kaller, who's not involved here, the best non-Norwegian in the overall Women's World Cup.
This is the slowest descent speed we've seen so far. Maybe picking up a little now, but 2 kilometers an hour slower. That really does affect your exit speed coming down this home straight.
And Heidi Weng, who won the national sprint title just recently for Norway in the last week. She was 0.27 of a second quicker than Østberg and 0.63 ahead of Slind and Mary Eide.
I think it's unfortunate that David, that Heidi had to go in this group 5. She had no choice about it, but she's making the most of the situation.
And it is the two Norwegians, Sveng on the far side, Keitnes on the near side, who at the moment have got those 2-3 meter lead ahead of their rivals. Trying to chase up there is Kovaleva, Polina Kovaleva in third place for Russia. But look at this, Heidi Weng, strong. Look at the body position there, Mike, and the power going down.
Beautiful and short, sharp. She's quite a tall athlete, but short, sharp, attacking stride and keep maximising her energy up this climb. It's a steep climb, deceptive with the camera. Great finish.
Yeah, like a boxer, just really punching those out there. And look at that, Kovaleva in a photograph with Keitnes right at the end. Now that is really interesting.
Second slowest of the heats, I should say. So we won't see third position, I'm quite sure, going through into the semi-final.
22 years of age, Kovaleva. If you go in the Junior World Sprints a couple of seasons ago, she was 6th in a classic there, and she's knocked right on the door, 3:01.63. It's not the fastest time. I think Jakobsen should get a place, but it's unofficial. Well, they've still got Nusiainen and Mary Eid from the first heat, because it was 2:56.06.
It was so fast that 4 from that first heat, they're well, lucky losers. They put the pace in, and they've gained their selection through to the semi-final.
So Kari Keitnes of Norway misses out. So well done to Kovaleva. That's a really, well, hang on a second.
No, they've just turned it the other way around.
They've turned it round. Men's quarters coming up. Well, a false start, so you've missed absolutely nothing. And the fastest man in the first of the quarterfinals, Sergei Ustigov, who was third fastest to his teammate Alexander Pajinski. And Ustigov, a real fighter, and lying currently 5th in the Sprint World Cup rankings. And in race number 5, sprint number 5 in Oberstdorf, he was runner-up, and it was also a runner-up in Lenzerheide. So he's been knocking on the door to win one of these. And in the world of men's sprinting, Mike, there's something special about winning the Drammen Sprint.
There is. You need to have a good race head. You need your strategy in place throughout the whole day, so focus level's extremely high.
So the big tall Hadderstad wearing bib number 8, the Sochi freestyle sprint champion and the bronze medalist from last year in Falun, at the moment can't get to the front because it's all about Ustigov, who really powers up. There's Hadderstad in second place, and just behind them there, Baptiste Gros wearing 16 for France. Baptiste Gros on the podium and really making an impression for him and the French team. The runner-up twice now this season.
Impressive. Look at this. We thought maybe some of the men would try double pulling. It's a Hadderstad, the huge figure of Hadderstad. He's the only one in this first heat to try it. Will he survive it? Maybe. He'll certainly have a better glide, David, now, or he should have, on the descent down here.
So it's Ustigov already being led now by Diviatarov of Russia. So it's Russia 1 and 2 at the moment, and Diviatarov of Russia ahead of Ustigov, then Baptiste Gros in the sort of blue and yellow of France, which they've adopted for this season's sprint race suits.
So the time there, the speed, 43 kilometers an hour, is about 1 kilometer an hour better than the best of the women's descent speed.
And Eisenlau on the far side. Whoa!
Not good.
And he's almost taken out. He almost took out Ustigov there, but as a result of that mistake, he's got pushed right to the back of the field. And
had to start a good line there, David, but can he make it back? It's only arm power. Possibly he can. Ustigov just resting his arms off a little for this final attack.
Yeah, and he's actually getting the benefit of all the nonsense that's going on behind him there, because it's Strandvall of Finland who's in third place, and Baptiste Gros isn't going anywhere now, and it's Hadderstad with tremendous strength challenging Ustigov, and who gets there first? Of course, Hadderstad knows this place really well, and that's a photo, surely.
That's hurt. He got a ski in his back there as he fell across the line.
Well, I've got Baptiste Gros in there. It's such a difficult angle there on that head-on angle to see.
I think it was Baptiste.
Well, I'm just Baptiste Gros on the far side.
Put in a huge attack.
Yeah, well, from the front you can't see that.
So it is, I think, Ustigov. What happened there? He just completely burned up towards the line. Well, Hadderstad got away with it this time using no wax. I think in the semi-final, I think that he'll possibly go with wax. The arms fatigue so much when it's only 2 minutes 40 of absolute work through the arms. He's just hanging on in there.
Yeah, Hadderstad, and then a photo between Gros and Ustigov.
Hey, David, jury might be looking at this. You're not allowed really to push and shove on the track, and I think we might see a little jury decision on that one.
I thought that was a very messy quarter-final.
I think that's how they're all going to be, is bitty, attacking, possibly falling.
So we're still waiting for the result of the photograph, and there it is. And you can see by 200ths, Ustigov pushed back into third place, 2:39.77. And so Hadderstad. But I tell you what, Hadderstad used a lot of energy in that quarter-final.
He certainly did. Huge body weight. One of the heaviest athletes in the field to double pole his way around.
I think the interesting thing for me about Baptiste Gros is that his first runners-up spot came in Davos. That was a freestyle sprint. His second runners-up spot came in Planica. So remember, this is classic, so this is a big difference to know. But straight on to the second quarter-final. Erik Bransdal wears 2 there. He's the fastest of the men from the qualification. But we've also got wearing bib number 4 in here, Nikita Krukov. There he is on the left of your picture. We'll come to him in a moment. 13. That's Urne, Norway, not in a national suit, so he's done really well to qualify here. But here is the man who is the Olympic champion in classic style back in Whistler 2010, when the Russians destroyed the Norwegians with a fantastic tactic. They zoomed away, if you remember, Mike, right from the beginning.
Early on, they caught everyone else sleeping. Nobody thought they would risk going too early, but they went dynamic so early. Krukov hasn't quite done so much since then, but certainly on form now with his bib number 4, and I think Ustigov showed good form earlier as well, if he makes it through to the semi-final. Well, who's going to be brave enough in this one? Maybe Erik Bransdal, bib number 2 at the back, to just double pole it. You certainly get the feeling, David, already the pace is slower than the first time.
Yeah, Norway have always been the dominant force here. Of the previous 11 classic sprints here in Drammen, they've won no less than 10 of them. And the only man who's stopped them having an utter clean sweep is the, well, legendary Emil Jonsson, who won here some 6 years ago. And last year, well, it was a clean sweep. Bransdal, Fincro and Hadderstad, the 1, 2, 3.
I can't, well, Bransdal there, bib number 2 at the back. This pace is ridiculously slow, so only 2, I'm quite certain, will make it through to the final on this pace. Or have I got it wrong? What's Bransdal doing? I think we'll see him really turning up the pace from now on in. He needs to if he wants to get through.
But the man up front there wears 4, Nikita Krukov. Good to see Krukov, because we don't see him that much. He races pretty sparingly. But this looks as good as we've seen him for a while here. And he's got a 4-meter break on his closest pursuer. And in white for Sweden, it's Theodor Pettersson. We didn't really talk about him in the lineup at the beginning, but he's very much a threat.
Look at his skis, David. His skis just passing without any effort there. Krukov on that part of the descent.
And the Olympic silver medalist, Theodor Pedersen, goes into the lead. The Olympic silver medalist from Sochi, that is, which was a freestyle race, but he now leads the field.
I'm still expecting Eric Bransdal.
Oh, my goodness. Orne's gone down. What a nightmare. Krukov's out of it as well. Theodor Pedersen being pursued there up the hill. And Gafarov of Russia in second place. Let's get back to the finish also. And the only other survivor in there, that's bib 14, Gafarov, who's now in third place.
You know, I think Eric Bransdal, that was a brilliant run. He stayed at the back. Maybe he'd preempted trouble up the front. He gave himself space, and he must have had full confidence in this finish pace.
But look at Pedersen and Gafarov having a real fight for second place. So Bransdal finishes it off, and Pedersen in second place.
It is slow, David, that early start pace. It's, what, 3 seconds slower than the first heat. And very, very economically run there by Eric Bransdal. Well, who brought them down?
Well, let's have a look at this. There's Orne. It's actually Orne, the man.
And Krukov, nowhere to go, could not get round.
No, it was Orne who had too much weight on that inside ski and actually slid down and took the legs. It's a bit like short track speed skating, really, on that corner.
It is, and it's not the wisest line to take, is cutting it so tight on the entrance. And I think Krukov's a little hurt there, but philosophical, he's saying nothing I could have done about that. When the door closes in front of you, nothing.
And there you can see Orne in that orange suit, and well, as you say, Krukov will be gutted because he must have thought that he had a really good chance. And here again, you can see there, takes out one, and then Krukov blocks. He had no, as you rightly said, but nowhere to go.
His skis were a little slow. Yes, good grip on the up, but Krukov lost all of his time on that descent, putting him into fourth place, and that's he was at the back there and got brought down in the disruption ahead of him.
So Bransdal, only 11th last year in the Worlds, but he wins this one, goes through to the semis. Well, a big cheer for the introductions, and of course in this 3 Norwegians. And when I look at this, in fact, looking at this, I beg your pardon, there's actually 4 Norwegians in this. 18, this is Bakken, but the 2 names that really stand out, you'll see them, Petter Northug and Finn Hågen Krogh. Retivki to be respected here for Russian. He's been racing pretty well in recent times. 10 for Switzerland in the black race suit here. This is Hediger. And now Petter Northug, no hat, just the glasses on. His youngest brother, Evan, to go in the last of the quarterfinals. And Finn Hågen Krogh, who is the 4th best sprinter of the season and, of course, won the World Cup sprint title last year. He is on the left of your picture, on the near side when they take off.
You just feel, I was just about to say, you feel that this is going to be all about adrenaline, fight, and an incredibly fast heat as well. And David, just hearing that Theodor Pedersen in the previous heat has been given the yellow card for obstruction during that race. I didn't see it, but the jury are earning their pay today. They're on it. They're on to any infringements today.
This is immensely physical. And it is the design of this course which is really testing these men.
Well, they know how important it is to get your placement right, to be in the top 3 at the top of the charge at the high point of the course.
Jovian Hediger in the black race suit there, that was a really good start from him. Shot out of the gate, and he's not quite in the lead there, wearing 10.
And Hediger did get the yellow card for the false start.
Outside the top 20 at the last year's World Championships. But it's Retivki, I think, who's leading up front there for Russia. He wears bib number 11 on the right of your screen as you see him. Hediger, and then the hatless Northug up there as well.
Well, it's only Northug and Hadestad in Heat 1 who've been brave enough to double pole this. It worked easily for Hadestad. It'll probably work for Petter Northug as well.
Ratibki, well, if you go back to Otapa 5 years ago, he was a junior world bronze medalist in classic style, and it's taken him a while, but he's there or thereabouts. But Hediger striding on here for Switzerland.
Looking very, very good. 1:15 to the top. That's a very good start time, and just a fraction slower than the first heat. Petter Northug, well, Hadestad came over that high point in third place, I think it was, or second place. Petter Northug a little further behind in fifth.
Hediger, who finished top 20, actually 17th here a year ago in Drammen. And just look at the skis of Ratibki there. Russians have got that right today.
They have. And, well, you get a bit of a slingshot as well, coming off that rise, and it allows your speed. Look at Petter Northug with the waxless skis. That's where they make their advantage from fifth to first. And it just pulls back a second and a half, 2 seconds. And he's obviously worked that out to be of great value. Of course it is.
Well, Northug, you know, he's not as prolific these days, but remember he was the bronze medalist in Vancouver, and of course he won the world title last year in Falun as he charges up the finishing straights and leaving the rest to really scrap here for second and maybe lucky loser spots here. Inside 2:39 to be the quickest as he comes up here, and this is the quickest of the quarterfinals so far, I think.
Yep. It is. Well, he's back. That is the perfect Petter Northug, and I think the sharpest we've seen all season.
And Finn Kroll underlying the form there, last year's sprint champion and the man who currently lies in fourth place in the overall sprint rankings, coming in to grab second place.
And Petter Northug just on Sunday won the skiathlon, the 30-kilometre, a mass start race at the Norwegian National Championships. Andrew Musgrave, fourth, just 1.8 seconds behind him.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Andrew Young, who didn't qualify. More of that just in a moment, but confirmation there. You can see Northug and Kroll. And the Norwegians, they, as I said earlier, they have an unbelievable records here.
At the moment, David, with the pace this heat was set by Northug at the end there, all four might well go through into the semi-final. All first four, that is.
Yeah, Krog is the national sprint champion. He won that just recently, and Northug wasn't really involved. Bransdal was down in fourth place. Paul Goldberg, who didn't compete today, didn't qualify today. This man in picture there was the runner-up to Finn Kroll in the nationals in the past week. So 20, Johan Edin, tall Swede, and wearing bib number 1 to acknowledge the fact that he was the fastest qualifier. Alexander Pajinski, the 2010 Vancouver Olympic silver medalist. Riseth for Norway, yet another Norwegian talent who's qualified here. And Pellegrino, the absolutely outstanding star of men's sprinting this season. And he leads the sprint rankings by 196 points over the absent Sondre Fossli, who failed to qualify. Baptiste Crow in third place, over 200 points back. Now, oh, false start, what a mess that was.
Everybody's so twitchy. It's so common in Drammen. Everybody wants a good start.
Well, I certainly, from our angle, Mike, we can't tell who's going to get the yellow card for that.
Well, the only one I know who didn't do it was Riseth.
It's worth saying about Pellegrino, you know, he was 7th in Ruka, and in the other classic sprint, which was Noversdorf, he was 14th. So his domination has really been in the freestyle sprints. Now, the run for home in Canada, part of the sort of Tour of Canada that finishes off the season, there are 3 freestyle sprints to go, and they've also got a freestyle sprint in Lahti. So things are loaded very much in his favour as they get away for the second time of asking. But can Pellegrino this season win a classic sprint? And if he can, it's going to have to be either Drammen or Stockholm, which follows.
Well, Brzezinski, what surprises me, David, he had the option of going in groups, heats 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, and he's gone for heat 4, thinking it's an easier ride, that all the big threats would be earlier. But anyway, it is a tough heat there. Of course, this heat, back in from the previous one, he was obstructing as well and has been given a yellow card.
So, Riseth of Norway, the man making the early pace here for the men.
Well, Alex Harvey, I mean, the pace at the front here from firstly Brzezinski and now Riseth, it's extraordinary. It's really fast. Alex Harvey completely left behind. And this is, without a doubt, to this point, the fastest.
Well, this man wants to make a name for himself. You know, he's only 20, but he is the reigning junior world champion. Won the title last season in Almaty in Kazakhstan. And obviously his ambition is very clear to see.
It is. Has he got too much of that desire, enthusiasm? Has he gone just a little too early? And that's often the case on this course, though the person leading up over the rise isn't always the first to cross the line.
Holm Snow, Norwegian, 20 years of age, junior world champion, in front of this massive Norwegian crowd.
And he had the fastest descent speed there initially, but caught up. He had 43 kilometers an hour. Oh, well, Alex Harvey destroyed there at the back.
Brzezinski and now Riseth pushed back, and 23, that's Skor, who's just behind. But the man who's gone to the front there, Johan Edin, the tall Swede, powerful double poling, but on the near side, it's Brzezinski.
Look at Riseth now, the legs, he stumbled, he nearly fell, and that's what happens. If you hit that first 1 minute 15 too hard, you've got nothing left.
And look at the power that's generating. You could light a couple of houses with the amount of power that he's generating, Brzezinski. And this is the best I've seen him for a while now. And he's determined. I love the way he skipped the track. He wanted that particular track because he sussed it out that it is a little bit quicker on that, well, our left, his right-hand side. 2:36.
It's fast. That early pace of Riseth, that is very, very fast. Alex Harvey, great job. He might even qualify with the fast group, might make it through to the semi-final. I hope he does.
Yeah, but of course, whilst all that was going on, Pellegrino out.
He wasn't at the races there at all. That horrendous early pace from this man, Brzezinski, and then Riseth, it destroyed Pellegrino.
Which just tells you the story that he's got a lot of work to do still on the classic phase, hasn't he?
He has, untouchable practically this season in the freestyle, but that is his weak link, is the classic.
So there's the confirmation, and the experienced Johan Edin, who was out completely in the World Championships last year, had absolutely no form whatsoever. But he's raced here before in Drammen. In fact, he just got a few points last year for finishing in 26th place. He was a little better in 2014 when he was top 20. But this is probably getting into the semi-finals now. His best ever race. That's the Edin in white for Sweden.
Just thinking as Brzezinski crosses line, it was actually Riseth, bib 17, who created the false start.
So on to the last of the quarterfinals. Richard Jouve for France, along with Baptiste Gros, who've been writing headlines. Svensson for Sweden. Canada's Len Valias wears 19 in red there for Canada. And then Evan Northug, 15, youngest of the Northug dynasty. And then favoured mostly Simeon Hamilton, 12th in the World Cup rankings at the moment. And Ulai, there you can see, Ulai, who was third just recently to Juho Mikkonen in the Swedish nationals, and Simeon Hamilton, who will be closest to you. So these men's quarterfinals have been pretty rough.
And the 20-year-old Northug, Evan Northug, 10th at the championships at the weekend in the Norwegian national champs.
I don't think this is going to be as quick as the previous quarterfinal, which means that you've got to be conscious of trying to get in the first two places.
And that does. The previous one at 2:36, possibly Alex Harvey, who finished fourth, could make it through to the final. And the pace, frankly, early on here, they've lost a second and a half already to this point.
On the far side, wearing 22 there, Richard Jouvet for France. Third, his first ever World Cup podium at the last sprint, which was in Planica, just behind Baptiste Crow, who already has qualified for the semi-finals. So the Frenchman will want to join his teammate here for sure. But again, this is a different cup of tea. But the French seem pretty competent in both disciplines, freestyle and classic.
Yeah, Europe just coming up there. He's got his sleeves rolled up for action, or he doesn't have sleeves. Now he's picking up the pace big time. The 1:96 Len Valias makes it look so easy at the front.
Yeah, but this is a much slower, steady. Well, it's not slow, it's steady.
Very steady, and then of course Len always makes it look steady. In fact, it's running only at the moment about 1.5 seconds off the fastest pace. Quite tricky, these corners, because it's so compact, machine-made snow, and it's always very hard, so you need to be careful around these corners.
17th, the best ever final position for Valias as he goes down. So Canada and France there in 1 and 2 positions. And now over this little bump there, and you must take the speed down and round with you. And
you need to try and get a wide entry to this corner. Well, there he is. The leader can take the wide entry and then cut it fine if you can. But always a great risk round this bend.
Ulai in the blue there for Finland, just about in third place. He's got ahead of Jouvet. And now on the left of your screen there, 12, Simeon Hamilton for the United States. This would be a really good qualification for him if he comes through, and he leads at the moment. Evan Northug, who's just lost his balance there. And now Jouvet on the far side challenging, coming up with a fantastic power sprint. And you can see the Frenchman has gone right into the lead there. And he's left the Canadian. And also 15 in there, Evan Northug striving for second place. 22 coming up here, Jouvet, fantastic, and Evan Northug has made it. 2 Northugs in the semis.
Well, and he looks so much like his big brother, the technique, the style, and the attack.
Well, fantastic atmosphere here as we look forward to the women's semi-finals. And wearing bib number 6, Matvieva, who impressed us in the women's quarterfinal, Stina Nielsen. And no Swedish woman has ever won the sprint in Drammen. 2. Look at the difference in stature here. Parmakoski for Finland. Really tough. You might remember her as Krista Latinmäki before she got married. Ready to go. Ersberg to fire out of the start gate. And also here, of course, Harsem, who actually got a warning in the quarterfinals.
She did. She needs to be careful. She can't make another infringement, another mistake, or she'll be out. I think you're right, David, about Ersberg firing out of the start gun. Same strategy as always. She'll try and lead it from start to finish.
Yeah, so Erzberg on the left, two from the left of your picture, but not having it all her own way. Stina Nilsson well up there, Matvieva as well, who's improved her double polling, no end. And just at the back, it's Mari Aid who got through as one of the lucky losers. But Erzberg now, look at the power that she's generating. But our concern, Mike, as we've said so often, is the fact that she puts so much into the quarters and the semis. Will she have enough left for the final, given that she makes it?
It's a long and stressful day, David, from the trial earlier on, what, an hour and a half ago, to all the tension of getting through to the final.
Parmakoski side to side, Finland with Sweden, shoulder to shoulder. And look at this, 7, 8, 9, 10 deep in some parts here as we come up round the church. And it's Erzberg from Nielsen, from Parmakoski, and then Harsem for Norway.
Well, Erzberg's slipping there. She's very light on the grip wax, and that's to help her descent speed coming up very soon. But Stina Nilsson shading her quite comfortably. Stina Nilsson, for me, is such a wise young athlete with her pacing. She doesn't want to lead it. Of course, she does in the final, but not in the semi-final. In fact, she can't stay with this lady right now.
Yeah, the record shows that Norway have been the dominant force in the women's division, as they have in the men. They won 6 of the last 11 divisions. Finland, thanks to Verpi Koivunen, won 3 in their time, and Poland and Slovenia have won 1 apiece. But it's Erzberg leading at the moment, and at the moment sitting second in the overall World Cup rankings to Teresa Johaug. So an opportunity just to close the gap a little bit with some points here. But look at the front three, they're absolutely away. Matvieva, Mariaid out of it, Harsem also. It's all about the front three barring a fall.
It's such a blistering pace, David. It's destroyed the other 3 in this heat, and this is the pace that you would expect in a final, because these 3 know how important it is to get through there for certain in the top 2.
And it's Erzberg who gets first run on the stride and glide over Nielsen and Parmakoski. But Parmakoski is tough there, and it's interesting, she just skipped tracks there, and that's slightly unbalanced Stina Nielsen. But Erzberg at the moment, clean pair of heels.
Lovely style from Erzberg at the front. She rises up so far, so high on her toes, but in comparison, Parmakoski doesn't. Just short, sharp arm power.
And I love the way she skipped the track just to get that little bit of extra purchase coming up here to this deceptive little lip here. But it's Erzberg, and she qualifies. Parmakoski and Stina Nielsen has to wait and see if that time is going to be good enough.
2:56.6, just a little slower than the first heat she gave us.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was 2:56.06, so the 0.54 slower. But remember, this is the 3rd time of asking. And Stina Nielsen just doesn't seem to be at the races at the moment.
Well, I thought she was doing everything right, but I'm with you now. I think I said, such a wise head on young shoulders. She realizes that the pace that Erzberg set is most likely to take her through as one of the lucky losers. There she is, only 0.88 behind, and surely that will be fast enough. When you look at the next heat with Ingmar's daughter and Heidi Weng, Nusiainen as the fastest 3.
Well, Faller's not going to hang around, that's for sure, but I agree with you. I think that first heat could see Stina Nielsen into the final. It's about 90,000 people who live in this part of the world, the former Norwegian capital, a traditional port here that used to be the centre of activity, and it's really easy. You just get the train from the centre of Oslo, or if you fly into Gardermoen, you get on the same train and just come through to Drammen. And for my money, this is the best prepared, best organised sprint, be it classic or freestyle, anywhere on the circuit. And that's why it is the one that everybody wants to win.
It is those slow-mo shots of Erzberg's fantastic technique and efficiency.
So look at this, the Norwegians here, they've got 50% of the fields. Mona-Lisa Nusiainen, as she's known now, ahead of the up-and-coming Lampits for Slovenia. Keitnes for Norway wears 12. The tall figure of Ida Ingsmarsdottir in number 3 there. And then we've got Falla and Veng. And Falla, in the 4 races so far, she hasn't finished out of the top 2. Pink headband, just note that. That'll give you a little guide. White headband there for Heidi Veng. Just that little exhale of breath there. Maybe just those little nerves now. It's tougher. The Olympic champion looking for a hat-trick of victories. First step for her now is to get into the final. And Veng on the left there, pretty strong. And right on the extreme right there, Nusiana, Mona Lisa very quickly into her stride. And now Falla gets going.
Once Falla picks up her pace, she didn't have a very good start there. She almost got her ski pole caught in the timing, so which held her back a little. But once she gets up and running, the fighter Falla surely can set the pace, the early pace.
I tell you what, there'll be one keen television viewer watching this, and that'll be Marit Bjørgen.
Well, when's she going to come back? I reckon pretty soon. Pretty soon.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Maybe at Christmas.
Well, no, I think she'll do a couple of at least national races before. I can't believe that Marit won't want to get a sort of barometer. At the moment, she's looking after young Marius, but, you know, I think she'll want to get out on the snow for her own self and find out, you know, where she is.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But they're all pretty glad she ain't here.
Oh, they are. Look at there's Falla just taking it on. Ingmarsdottir, the white suit, bib 3, just as usual, playing her good strategy. She plays a very clever game. But the pace is fast now. Nusiainen just coping well over the top there, or keeping the pace going up and over. Falla just extending that lead slightly, working a little further over the rise. Now it's, what, 20 seconds recovery time.
Yeah, Ida, who's got a couple of World Cup victories to her credit, in fact 5 podiums. She was runner-up this season in Lenzerheide. And so that's the closest she's got to a victory so far in the current campaign. But Drammen is a very different cup of tea. What's so great here is, lots of people ask us, but don't they, Micah, where should we go to see various races? You couldn't do better than coming to Drammen. Look how close you are to the action.
And this new try, Nusiainen.
Yeah, Nusiainen down.
That's a real pity. She had done everything, just everything so right before that fall.
So it is Falla who's leading from Heidi Veng on the left of your screen. Lampit's right behind. Ingmarsdottir also right there with a chance of a second place finish. This is going to be slower, so you've got to cross the line in first and second place, and Falla's well aware of that. And the tall Swede at the moment holding second place. Lampit's on the far side, trying to find a little bit more for Slovenia out of the picture. We need to go back and we need to see on the right there, there's Lampit's, on the left there Ingmarsdottir as Falla charges up. She's going to make it, but who on earth gets second? It's going to be the lunge of the boot here. Heidi Veng hidden as well.
Lampit.
Oh, was it Veng?
When?
Veng was right behind Falla, and you couldn't see the skis.
She extended her foot through then, Heidi Veng, to get that one. 2:59.
But look at that, 2:59.
So much slower, 3 seconds slower.
Yeah, and we're looking for 2 lucky losers, aren't we? So just looking at that, Stina Nilsson surely must make that.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I'm just trying to think. Matvieva was 3 seconds back. That would take her to 2:59 over 3. Could Lampitz possibly make it?
She just held her leg back a little, Lampitz. Hopefully that hasn't cost her the final. There's a sore shoulder from Nusiainen. What happened to Nusiainen? Her own fault. She put a snowplow in or edged her ski.
And Nielsen and Matvieva have made it through. So Sweden represented there, and Sweden represented by Stina Nilsson, who will try in the final to become the first Swede to ever win here in Drammen. But Weng, they've got Ørsberg, the Norwegians. There's the final, and you can see there 3 Norwegians. Parmakoski for Finland, Matvieva for Russia, Stina Nielsen for Sweden. The men's semis to come.
So the early start, Nusiainen did everything so right until it came to the final bend. Fala slow to pick up the pace, but I think as we expected, she is such a terrier, aggressive skier that once she got to the front, she was never going to let it go. Lampitz, I feel so sorry for Lampitz, far side. She's announced her time now being almost of the status of finals, but she just missed it by 200ths of a second. What a pity for her. And I'm sure we'll see a lot more of Lampitz in the future, inspired by Petra Maditz, who was, I think, took about, in her time, 12 victories here.
So once again, 50% of the field are Norwegian. So Simeon Hamilton impressed me in the quarterfinals. Good to see an American represented in this stage of the competition. Theodor Pedersen, silver medalist in the Olympic Games, freestyle, but hey, you know, could be there. 16, Baptiste Gros, rough, tough, bruising. If it comes to physical contact, anybody who tries it with him will probably lose out. Erik Bransdal, and Bransdal is a former Drammen winner, so to be highly respected. Petter Northug, once again, hatless. And to complete the lineup here, this is the Olympic champion and the world bronze medalist from last season, Ola Vigen Hadestad.
David, out of 30 men who made it through to the final, only Hadestad and Petter Northug have opted for the no wax option. I wonder if they'll try it again in the semi-final. Probably not.
So Bransdal is actually the defending champion here in Drammen.
He is, and I think he played it so sensibly that previous heat. He just kept all his energy, conserved it. He was in last place over the top and went through into first place.
Could be a wall of Norwegians.
It's quite likely. Well, just 3 of them, and at the moment they're at the front.
They're leading the way here. Hadestad right up there, tall, imposing figure. It was a pretty rough journey, and remember, he had to do an awful lot of double poling. Looks a lot more comfortable at this particular moment in time. Being pursued by Bransdal, 26 there. That's Theodor Pedersen in white, not to be confused with Simeon Hamilton, who's got a similar coloured suit.
Petter Northug, David, has opted for no wax. So remember, we saw his great descent speed, and he's still up with the top. On the other hand, Hadestad has got wax on this time, deciding his arms would fade.
Herringbone there from Baptiste Gros. Yeah, we haven't seen too much of that.
No, and he had to go the long way around. He had to run along and wider than Petter Northug.
Yeah, he was clearly worried that he was out of position.
And he is, and this is where Northug may be in 5th or 6th position at the moment, but surely Northug's going to carry the best descent pace down here to get himself back into it. Well, he's at the back.
He's at the back, so he's got to pass everybody.
I think he will.
Well, maybe he will, but are we going to get a chronometric 42.5 kilometers?
So Erik Bransdal, very different strategy than previous heat. He's now at the front. He was keeping comfortably in, 5th position down here last time.
Yeah, maybe that was his thinking, to keep out of trouble, but look how they've all bunched up again.
Northug couldn't get through. He tried.
No, he's going to have to wait, because this little chicane that's round here is not easy, but he's moved up on the inside there, and Baptiste Gros, he's been relegated to last place. Look at Northug on the far side there, trying to get into this, but at the moment, Hadestad on the near side. Where's bib number 8? Being pursued, and it's 3 Norwegians. Northug on the far side, Hadestad, and also Bransdal. Only 2 by right go through, and Bransdal on the far side. Petter Northug leads the way. The magnificent Petter Northug holding off the former Olympic champion, the world champion, is coming up there. Is he going to hold off Hadestad? But Bransdal comes up and nicks it right at the end.
Oh. What a heat. Petter Northug just lost it. He got a bit of wax across the top of his head with of course, Pedersen's ski going over his head. But Petter Northug just lost it in the last 5 meters.
2:40.74. And that means everyone here, the front three Norwegians, but look at Bransdal, how cool he was. And he, in the end, actually won it quite decisively. That's a very cool finish from Bransdal.
And I don't think I've ever seen Petter stretch so desperately for that line.
I just loathe that finishing angle because you just can't tell, you know, what Bransdal's doing. You saw the attack, and that was an excellent race there. And Hardestad is the man who is now hanging on, 1800s. He might have a chance there, but the sad thing is, look at that. Out goes the Swede, the Frenchman, and the American. At the moment.
My thoughts, David, I think that heat there will be faster than the next one, the semi-final, the next semi-final coming up.
Well, remember, they've got Finn Hågen Krogh
and Pajinski.
Pajinski. And they've also got Score, the slightly unknown, overlooked Norwegian involved here.
Petter Northug from last over the top of that rise, cheekily taking the corner so tight on the inside. Without wax, his skis reacting better than the skis with wax. And then just losing it, but a beautiful lunge for the line from Northug. Bransdal, as you said, so easy across the line, and there's the wax across the head. Or the ski across the head.
So here is the lineup. Sindre Bjørnstad Score, no back number. He's a rising star. He was the under-23 world silver medalist last year, and here he is. So don't rule him out. That was a little tap saying, I'm here. Johan Edin, very good race for Sweden. But again, you know, we've got three Norwegians here to bustle everybody up. 15, Evan Northug. Isn't it great that they've been split, Mike, and the two Northugs could be in the final together?
Doesn't he look, and the attitude, the cockiness, the self-confidence, a little bit like his older brother?
The Vancouver Olympic silver medalist, Pajinski. And then Richard Jouvet. They've lost Baptiste Gros from the first semi-final. This man who was third in Planica broke into, or achieved his first podium. And Finn Hågen Krogh, who's taken a little while to get his season going in terms of sprinting, the defending sprint champion. So Pajinski standing tall in the center of the echelon, under starters' orders. Second semi-final, first semi-final, 2:40.67. How quick's this one going to be?
David, they know it's got to be quick. If they have positions 3 and 4 have a chance of making it into the final, they know they have to be even faster than the previous semi-final, which is an incredible pace. It has to be set from gun to line. Krogh there, you mentioned, certainly hasn't come into his top sprinting form as he showed last year, but then I think he's concentrated a little more on his distance racing. So far, this is slower by about 0.9 of a second to this point. Just getting into the rhythm. They know that it's going to be electric. It's as if nobody wants to lead. Often the leader over this rise will be absorbed by the group or by the person behind them, with traveling speeds over 40 kilometers an hour on the descent.
And Jouvet, the Frenchman, like Baptiste Gros, caught on the outside, shuffled right the way to the back, and now being forced to come the long way around to get position, and that is using a lot of energy. You see, he's moved up into 4th place.
Jouvet, but he had to go a long way around, and that's, as you say, using even more energy, but still a chance for him to come back.
So Pajinski in the lead there and trying to skip away to get clear, but you can see, and down goes Jouvet, and he takes Edin out as well, and that's messed up,
broken ski pole, broken ski, I think, there from Jouvet over.
Yeah, Pajinski now, and so he's got the Norwegians to really deal with. So it's not been a great day for the French, and 3 are away, and Hadderstad probably going to be thinking that he can make it through now. And so round they come. In third place there, Finn Horgan Kroh, and off the pace, also affected, of course, Evan Northug. So Pajinski, who's led from Gunn, hoping to make it gun to tape there, being pursued by Score, and then the much more experienced Kroh, who's trying to get on terms with his less experienced teammates.
Pajinski is having none of it. He's having no challenge from the Norwegians. Look at this tempo. It's as if it's the final. It's just the semi-final. Well, they're going to make a counter-attack to the line, the Norwegians. He knows it.
And Pajinski, well, he's got enough of an advantage, and he goes across there, and Kroh out sprints Score, and this is 2:42. So by my reckoning, Hadderstad and maybe Pedersen are going to go through to the final. We'll get confirmation of that in a moment.
I think they'll both make it, David. The 4 across the line and first in the first semi-final, I think they'll all make it. Pajinski put a huge amount of fight, effort into this one, and now less recovery time prior to the final. It's a huge factor at this stage of the day.
Yeah, and it's a big race for him because it's his outstanding race of the season. He's 49th in the World Cup rankings, and in the last race he was 14th. That's Juve going down, just too much weight on that inside ski, and poor old Edin. And it also compromised Evan Northug.
A little. I thought it had played a bigger part in Evan Northug's semi-final, but just obviously running out of steam as well.
Hey, Evan Northug, he's got a personal best by being in the semi-finals.
It's brilliant. I mean, another great find. Well, we knew he was great. He's got a surname of Northug.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have been nice, though. Would have been a bit of fun, wouldn't it, to have had 2 brothers in, but not to be.
And Thomas Northug, the third brother, has not quite had such a strong season as last year.
Nope.
There's no way. That's such a pity there for big Johan Edin. There's no way around that. He couldn't have done anything about that. He could not stay on his feet. From Sweden. And confirmation, David, Hadderstad and Pedersen in the first semi-final have made it through.
So confirmation there, and in the men's lucky losers, just looking at this, you can see that Tero Pedersen's through, and so is Hadderstad. Back for the women's final after this. So Mike Dixon together with myself, David Goldstrom. The moment now for women's sprinting in Drammen. Maika Kaspersvala, the Olympic champion, wearing the pink headband, the winner of this most prestigious classic sprint for the past 2 seasons, bidding for an unprecedented hat-trick, and she is at the heart of her echelon. She's got Ingvild de Flugstad Ørsberg with her as well in this lineup. And also in the lineup, 3 Norwegians. Heidi Weng involved here as well. And Heidi Weng at the back wearing 13. Ørsberg, who has dominated the quarterfinals with her front running. But it's Parmakoski on the left there for blue, formerly Krista Lartenmaki, going out there with Stina Nielsen, bidding to become the first Swedish woman ever to win a sprint here in Drammen. As far as Parmakoski's concerned, she's trying to follow in the footsteps of the great Verpi Koitunen, but Ørsberg will not be denied the lead.
Well, what a turn of pace there from Ørsberg. You could say, you could even think that maybe it would be tactical in this final, but there again, you look at Ørsberg, and she's never going to be tactical. She just attacks and keeps on attacking. attacking, but often in the final it's her undoing.
Nielsen also, who's yet to win one of these World Cup sprints in classic style. Just about second there, tall, powerful, the leader of the under-23 World Cup rankings, but it's Erzberg in first place. Far side in white, Nielsen, Parmakoski in blue. Pink headband of the Olympic champion right in the back there. That's Matvieva for Russia. Good to see her in a final. She's definitely improved her classic style. Heidi Weng struggling at the back.
Erzberg just a little look over her shoulder, and I think she expected to see another red suit, but it's a white suit and a blue suit, Sweden and Finland. She's expecting to see Heidi Weng and, of course, Falla.
Yeah, Falla, let's see what the skis do running down here. Falla may well close up here on the run down. Speed's been around 40 kilometers, 40.68 here for Erzberg.
Still a good run out from Erzberg. Often she gets caught, or the athlete at the front gets caught down this fairly fast descent.
Erzberg, the fastest of the qualifiers right at the beginning of the day. And through the quarterfinals, through the semi-finals, Falla and Matvieva getting left behind, as is Heidi Weng at the moment. They seem to have run out of gas. And now Stina Nielsen using her power, going early. But this is a big commitment by Stina Nielsen. And on the right of his screen, wearing one there, that's Erzberg trying to counter-attack. And then you got Falla, who stumbled there with Parmakoski, and Stina Nielsen trying to break the stranglehold here, but Erzberg got the better of her. And there's Falla on the far side, and Falla isn't finished. Falla, who's been first 3 times, second once in, and here she goes, and Falla grabs the scalp there of Erzberg, who just faltered for a moment. On the right, Falla, on the left, Erzberg. They come to the line, they lunge as they come up the lip here, and it's Falla on the right who gets there. 100 World Cup points and her 4th victory of the season. Falla, a hat-trick of victories here in Drammen.
Do you know what? That was just brilliant from Falla. She didn't go wild, she didn't go crazy early on. She did certainly in the last 200. And Erzberg, as always, puts everything on the table early and sets herself up for an attack in the final 10 meters.
I mean, that is world-class sprinting at the best. Erzberg did nothing wrong. She was just beaten by a better athlete, and a podium finish there for Stina Nielsen.
Stina got it wrong with 200 to go. Erzberg came through, knocked her a little sideways, Stina Nielsen, and but Erzberg had the pace, the commitment, the drive for the line until it came to this final 50 meters. Falla, she just attacks and keeps on attacking, never giving up.
30 years of age now, and unofficially that's her 19th World Cup success, and we'll get confirmation of that in a moment. And of course, not only the Olympic champion, of course the world champion from Falun last year, so absolutely riding high. And well, they've got, well, she's got more than 8 wins. I'm sure that Falla's got more than 8 wins in the World Cup, so I'll take that with a pinch of salt there, because I've got a farm. I mean, she's had 3 here in Drammen, and Stina Nielsen there, just looking at that, delighted she's on the podium.
Yes, I'm surprised. I had her tipped as first or second today, in my own mind, but. She just lost it there in the final 200 meters. Did everything right until that point. And as soon as you lose your balance or take the wrong lane, select the wrong lane in the final run in, it costs you seconds. And you know what? I'm just thinking, David, Falla and Erzberg, they'll want to milk this celebration as long as they can to buy their own teammates a little more recovery time in the second of the semi-finals and the men's final coming up soon, if they can.
Yeah, so that's a terrific performance there, and of course, winning a sprint these days, 15,000 Swiss francs to confirm an excellent payday there for Maika Kaspersen Falla, 10,000 to the runner-up Erzberg, and 5,000 to Stina Nielsen. Men's final to come. Well, here in Drammen, I think that was correct there for Micah Kaspersen-Faller. As Mike's just reminded me, of course, she's been winning all these big titles and not actually that many victories in the World Cup, but 3 times a winner here
right,
now, and
Mike,
hopefully we're going to... Here she is.
Congratulations, winner here last year, maybe 2 years, and this is your 3rd consecutive win here. You've been a little bit sick, but you're obviously quite healthy now.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of races on TV lately, so finally today it was my turn to race, and I really love this track in Drammen, and the last climb is perfect for me, so yeah, I'm so happy and I'm so glad to be here back racing in the World Cup circuit.
And yeah, we've had this podium many times this year. Nice battle between you and Ingvild as well as teammates. Coming down the home stretch, you were exactly where you wanted to be coming off the final curve.
Yeah, I was planning to stay behind before the last meters and really try to push hard before the finish line, and I did. Then maybe Ingvild had some mistake grip or something, but I was really happy and I felt everything was in the right angle for me.
Congratulations on your 3rd consecutive Drammen victory.
Thank you.
Yeah, terrific. And Stina Nielsen stays at the top of the World Cup sprint rankings. Unofficially, I've got her with 434 points from Ersberg's 396. And Faller now closing up 380. And Faller could well defend her World Cup sprint title before this season is out.
And she mentioned her ill health, David. Of course, she had planned Palencia, and she missed the potential 100 points there because she didn't continue with the Tour de Ski after the first day. And her whole aim has been to be the best at sprinting. So ill health pity held her back.
So a stunning performance by Micah Kaspersen-Faller for Norway in the women's final. But look at this, no less than 4 of our 6 finalists here are Norwegian. And it's a massive turnout. So the Olympic sprint medalist Theodor Pedersen for Sweden, can he do something about this? If you're just joining us, no Federico Pellegrino. He just isn't quite as accomplished yet in classic as he is in freestyle. Ola Vigga-Haderstad, you might remember him winning in Sochi, or 3rd last year in Falun. And Erik Bransdal, who's the defending Drammen champion. Sometimes the head waiter, other times the pathfinder. He can race versatile in a versatile fashion. Pajinski, nowhere this season, but has announced his arrival here, and there's surely determination to stand on the top step of the podium. But no one will have more determination than Petter Northug. Petter Northug can't seem to win the Tour de Ski, but he's a threat when it comes to sprints. And this man who won the sprint title last year, Finn Hågen Krogh, who is also very much knocking on the door this season for major honours, but has got a little bit of catching up to do in terms of points.
Well, they're off. My thoughts, Pajinski, David, he's had less recovery time along with Finn Hågen Krogh. They were in the 2nd semi-final, and Pajinski had the option of selecting the group early on. I think it might be his undoing today to have selected Group 4 early on, but we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be explosive, rather easy to begin with here, but it's going to change.
Somewhat incredibly, Petter Northug on the near side now hasn't been on the podium in the sprint since the very first outing in Ruka back on the 27th of November when he finished in 3rd place. But there he is wearing bib number 5, Pajinski wearing 1, striding up there. Theodor Pedersen in the white suit there, just sitting behind. That's Finn Hågen Krogh, who is the highest ranked in the current sprint rankings, and he is the last man at the moment, wearing 8s and biding his time. Haderstad as Pajinski goes into the run, and look at Look at Northug, Mike.
Well, Northug and Hadderstad deciding in the final to go with no wax. Hadderstad had grip wax on last time, and he saw the benefits it has on the descent with Northug last time. Pajinski, he's doing all the work out front. I'm still not sure it's in his favour to win this one, to be so far out front at this stage.
Well, there might be some benefit on the descent, but remember, it's a long uphill climb to the finish line, and it's as much as anything how much each of these men have got in terms of petrol in the tank there. And you can see how good the speed was of Erzberg, and there comes...
there's the advantage of having no wax. Petter Northug, the grip wax slows the skis down in the descent. It's not over yet, but this is looking brilliant for Petter Northug.
Yeah, fantastic glide, and of course he's in pole position for these tricky turns.
And look at Pajinski now. He had the second semi-final. It's not over for him either, but it's a huge fight now for him to even make the podium.
So in second place there, Hadderstad. In third place, the Swede Pedersen. Then it's Bransdal. Pajinski at the back at the moment with Finnhog and Kroh, who's been languishing there. Has he got anything to give? And now Petter Northug going ahead of Hadderstad. The Norwegians who clean swept here last year. Are they going to do it again? But look at this, the two veteran campaigners now, and Northug finds a little bit more, skips away, uses the purchase there, and it's Northug who's coming up here, leading Hadderstad. Bransdal coming late, and Bransdal gets into third place, and it's deja vu as it was in 2015. 1, 2, 3, 4 now for Norway. Sweden and Russia dismissed to 5th and 6th.
Incredible. And Pajinski, such a good run-out time, the fastest run-out time in qualifying, but the recovery time not there. I think he'll never ever select Group 4 again if he sets the fastest time. Petter Northug, that was him back to just about his best, David.
Yep, and the stats keep rolling on. Today was the 70th sprint in World Cup sprint history in classic style, and out of those 70 races, Norway, thanks to this man, have now notched up their 50th success.
That's quite amazing statistics. And what does the rest of the world have to do? Because the Norwegians are really, they've got another first, second, third and fourth here today. How can you beat them?
I'll tell you how you can beat them. Run faster.
They're all trying.
So Petter Northug, well, it's great to see him. He's such a showman, but he's such a talented athlete. And maybe we haven't seen the fireworks all the way through the season. But of course, this is a non-World Championship or Olympic season. But you can be sure that providing he stays fit and well, this man will be a force next year in Lahti and in Korea in 2018. He races sparingly. The one thing he can't handle, though, Mike, is that nasty climb up Alp Cermis in the Tour de Ski.
He stated, David, Tour de Ski is such an important part of the season. He'll always take part, but he stated, and I do believe he meant it, that he'll never win it because of the final 4-kilometre uphill climb on the last 9-kilometre day.
He's a million miles behind Martin Jonsrud in the overall World Cup. But he's closed up a little bit on Finn Kroh, who lies overall second. But I think the sweetness is this, the lap of honour and the adoration of the crowd, because he is a great showman.
He is, and so much about Petter Northug over the years has been his spirit, his confidence, and I think going into Sunday's 50-kilometre, this is exactly the medicine he needs. He's on form. He showed that at the Norwegian National Champs. He's a big threat now for the 50K.
And he's a multi-major winner at 50 kilometres. It's a mass start, so he can be the hunter, and that's perfect for him.
It is, and he will be the hunter, and all he knows that in the Holmenkollen Stadium, as long as he's in the race with 100 metres, 500 metres to go, he will win it, or can win it.
But that glide down the back straight that took him from virtually last into the lead and then set him up to charge up the hill. This is earlier in the race.
This is up to the high point, isn't it? And the ski speed, without the wax, it's worked for him today, but it's a brave man to use only arm power. Nobody else except Hadderstad tried it, but put wax on one time. It takes a brave man to do it and to get away with it.
And you see that extra 2 meters that he's got over Hadderstad, and at the end of the day he got first run. Look at Bransdale charging up on the far side, so close but not quite close enough, the defending Drammen champion, but into third place. And as I said, yet another clean sweep for Norway.
And Finn Hagen Krogh was the second semi-final and just burnt out the world's best sprinter last year, and Punzinski sixth, so fourth and sixth for the two guys in the second semi-final.
Yeah, and again it extends Norway's winning streak of classic victories here in Drammen, and it's been, as it always is, an amazing afternoon. Privilege for us. Hope you enjoyed it at home. Well, we're hopefully going to get a few modest words from Peder Northug. It'd be lovely to hear from him.
That was everything he did today, the confidence, his recent form of the Norwegian national champs at the weekend. He really is coming back to his best now, David.
Yeah, and just to remind you, Saturday, midday-ish, it's the men's mass start 50 classic, and the women go on Sunday morning. So a terrific amount of action from Oslo. We're much earlier in the season for Oslo. That's because of the dress rehearsal for the Lahti World Championships, which comes up later. But we have to take our lead from Mike Dixon and myself, David Goldstrom. Thanks so much for your company. Enjoy the rest of your day.